unfiltered discussions, unexpected guests. No topic is off limits, from sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Hello and welcome. It's the show where you'll learn something but be stupider for it. Emphasis on the stupider, because in about 10 minutes' time, I am going to incite an international incident, or at least try. There is an American travel writer who visited both the Canadian and U.S. side of Niagara Falls. In her writing, she says the U.S. side is better. Now, she was pretty polite and complimented the Canadian side too, but that doesn't matter. On the show, in 10 minutes' time, I'm going to have her and the mayor of the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, and I'm going to demand an apology. This should be fun. You're not going to want to miss it. Then after that, it's the Learn Something portion of the show. Had a long, stressful day at work? Go ahead, kick back, watch some TV. It might actually help you, I promise. Why? Well, halfway through the hour, the new scientific paper you'll learn about that says relaxing on the couch and zoning out in front of a screen might be exactly what you need to avoid burning out at work. Now that's some of what we'll cover on tonight's program. There will be more, but for now, let's dive in.
Want to be part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
And in pantsless, or as the UK people say, trouserless tube news, we have foreign correspondent Tony Five to talk about an annual no trousers tube ride that is going on in London. He reports live from the scene of the comfort of his bedroom, where he probably isn't wearing trousers. Tony, welcome to the show.
Good day, David. Good day, friends in North America, Canada, and everywhere north of the Atlantic. How are you, dear boy?
I am doing well. I'm just looking at photos from this no trousers tube ride. It looks like a good time.
David, you know you're not allowed to look at those websites when you're working, my friend. But yes, I think you guys over there would call it a pantless subway ride. Here in the UK, it's called a trouserless tube ride, my friend. In fact, weirdly, this tradition, which is 1 year where everybody meets up and it's organized, I guess, online, and they take their trousers off. Now, there are rules. You can't wear thongs or little tiny underwear or anything sort of sexually provocative. It has to be sort of, underwear, full-on underwear. Like, imagine Bridget Jones' big, ugly granny pants, or like Y-fronts and stuff. And you board the underground like everything is normal. Just literally, you just go on your day with no trousers on.
So this isn't as salacious as the worldwide naked bike ride, where people are in fact fully nude.
No.
However, you're on your own bike seat when you're doing that. I think it would be very rude unless you brought a towel to engage in a fully nude subway ride, notwithstanding the fact that the London coppers would come with their billy clubs and their like yellow stripy outfits, and they would probably beat you down.
Absolutely. There is something innately British about a middle-class, bald white man with a trouser suit without the trousers. So a full-on shirt, tie, blazer, leather briefcase, Financial Times, but just with no trousers. It's something so beautiful, so British. It happens every year. Weirdly, this whole thing started in New York.
Did it? I guess they would have called it a pantsless train ride. I don't know why they call the subway the train, because there's also a train station in New York, and guess what they call the things that depart from there?
Trains.
That's exactly right. But regardless, I didn't know it started in New York. I should get in on the action, but I'm bringing a towel because I'm not sitting on those subway seats having skin-to-seat contact. No way I would do that.
Lovingly, it was organised by the Stiff Upper Lip Society originally, but they sort of stopped participating to it in about 2023, about 3 years ago. And they said, it's run its course. It's something that they've stopped doing. So one of their own members, one of the people who was trouserless, decided to continue it. So, and I think it was like various cities used to have it. I know New York had it, and maybe other sort of large cities had it, but London has kind of kept it going. It's like they've kept sort of the Zune going. We still want to use MySpace.
Are Londoners divided on this? How do you feel about it? What are some of the arguments that people in the UK might make for and against it?
I think the hygiene thing is a big one because it happens on a Sunday where most people are taking their children down to London to see like museums and like fun fairs and shopping. I do think it's quite odd, and I think it's more of a giggle, a titter rather than titillation. So it's more of a little bit of a laugh and a giggle rather than anything sort of crazy or dangerous or anything like that. But most Londoners would just we're so polite here in the UK. We would just maybe offer them our trousers.
I feel like in New York, if someone was wearing underwear on the train, no one would even look. You would know the tourists on the train because they would be the ones staring. You get people in insane costumes.
Correct. I've been on your subway. In fact, I would be surprised that most people on a subway ride wear underwear.
No comment whether I do or don't, but I do have trousers on. Who knows what's going on under there? But yeah, I feel like in one of the stations, I think it's like West 4th Station, a guy dresses up in a rat costume with an oversized stuffy pizza, and he like runs around the platform grabbing the pizza, pretending to be like a pizza rat. And the New Yorkers don't even look at the guy. It's only the tourists who are like taking photos and going, "Oh my God, it's the pizza rat guy."
I mean, for those who have listened to this show consistently when I've been on, when I was in New York and on the subway, I had two guys just get on the train, rapping with a huge boombox and absolutely filling the whole subway train with music, dancing, in between people. And honest to God, you could think that the rest of the commuters were on a different planet.
Yeah.
They did not move. Their eyes didn't move. They were looking directly ahead. And like you said, I was the tourist because I was staring at them, clapping away. And then they started singing at me. It was amazing.
Yeah, they want your money, Tony. Did you give them a buck?
No, but I think it's the fact that every New Yorker doesn't want to interact, but once I started to interact, then they all sort of joined in. So it was pretty cool in the end.
I saw a good short form video of like a woman in Times Square being like, "There's so many tourists here. Here's how you can tell if there's New Yorkers around." And then she starts screaming crazy stuff at the top of her lungs. And then she zooms into somebody who doesn't look and she's like, "That's a New Yorker." And then she zooms into a tourist like staring at her horrified. She's like, "Tourist."
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Like New Yorkers are sort of like immune from anything. It's like they've got the best immunity going to craziness.
And if you ask a New Yorker for help, like directions or like any kind of thing you need on the street, they will help you, but they will help you rudely, which I love. I love that. They'll be, in terms of their level of help, it's actually super kind, but they will do it using brief language, barely looking at you, might not even stop while they help you.
Yeah, frustrated, walking backwards, like you're really ruining their day, but they'll give you fantastic direction to the closest possible exit or entrance where you need. It's amazing.
To a stuffy upper crust Brit who is saying, "How dare they go trouserless on the tube?" How was my accent there? Perfect. Thank you.
Fantastic. Sounded like my mum.
What would you say? What would you say to said Brit?
What would I say to said Brit?
Yeah, who's like upset and offended by the trouserless tube ride.
Oh, dear boy, I'm very sorry for my my trouserless connotation that you can see today. Don't worry, tomorrow I'll be wearing double the trousers. 2 trousers on top of one another.
Excellent answer. All right, well, in keeping with public semi-nudity, let's go to a public fully nude story. We go to the state of Louisiana in the U.S., where a woman took off her clothes and jumped into a neighbor's pond, not even pool, a pond, because I imagine you need to be in a pond instead of, although in the article it later says pool. I don't know.
Pool, yeah, I was going to say, when I read the article, it does say pool, but in the title...
Well, the headline says pond, so I'm only going by the headline, because we're headlines only on this show.
I mean, the headline also says she was trying to be a mermaid, so we can't really go with the factual evidence based on that title, yeah?
You're burying the lead here, because when the cops were called to the pond, again, this article flops between pond and pool interchangeably.
Yep.
Maybe it was just a really dirty pool with like algae, so the water was green.
Maybe it was a pool just with frogs in it as well. I don't know. Yeah, carry on.
Regardless, the cops get called because the neighbor's like, "Why is there a naked woman in my pond pool?" When the cops come, she states to them, I assume they say, "Why are you in this pond pool?" And she says, "I'm trying..."
Wait, let's do an ad-lib for it.
She says, "I'm trying to be a mermaid."
I'm trying to be a mermaid. Flap, 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 flap.
She was tased and arrested, and that is all you need to know about that story. Tony.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
What a pleasure it was having you, buddy.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure. Take care.
Tony 5, our foreign correspondent in London, England, where he currently joins us from the tube with his trousers off, probably. Either that or from his office room in his house. It's unclear.
Oh, swimming with a mermaid, David. Swimming with a mermaid.
Coming up, the international incident I'm about to try to start between the mayor of Niagara Falls, the Canadian side, and a poor travel writer who said she liked the U.S. side better. So stupid.
Part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. We work hard to strike the right amount of intelligence and ignorance. The last show with David Cooper.
I am here with travel writer Emily Pogue, who's American. And before I get into it, Emily, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, Emily went to Niagara Falls and somehow lived to tell the tale and write about it. And in her article, she said she has a favorite side, the American one. And this has caused a full-scale international incident. Canadians are furious, Americans are smug, everyone is yelling. Okay, no such incident happened, but maybe after this interview it will. I am here with the mayor of Niagara Falls, the Canadian side, Jim Diodati. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David.
Let's start with Emily. You wrote that the American side is your favorite. Mayor Diodati is sitting right here. Do you want to formally apologize right now, or do you want to double down?
Oh, I loved both sides equally. You know, there's a lot on both sides. The Canadian side was beautiful. It had its perks, but the American side just had a few things I didn't expect. So that's why it took a little bit of a front run in my eyes, but I loved them both.
But what you wrote, Emily, is that the Canadian side is, quote, a little gimmicky. Now, Mayor, when you hear a travel writer say something about your town that is so negative, so incendiary, what's your gut reaction?
I say, as long as they say Niagara Falls, we win. Every time they say Niagara Falls, we win. And you know, of course, I say we offer a buffet of fun and excitement. There's so much to do here. I mean, we've got great beaches along Lake Erie, golf courses. We've got 200 wineries. 90% of Canada's ice wine is prepared right here. 80% of the world's ice wine is made here. And of course, casinos and attractions. And don't forget about the water going over the rock, the falls.
Canadian ice wine is just regular wine with maple syrup added to it. Is my understanding correct on that one?
Well, yeah, with a twist. Yeah.
All right. Well, Emily said the best views, where could they be found?
Oh, that was the Canadian side.
Hands down. And this is what I say, you know, Mayor of Niagara Falls, New York is a very good friend of mine. Mayor Ray Stanel is a great guy. And we always joke, I go, you have the falls, but we get to look at the falls. So it gives us a huge advantage. And we're grateful. And I always say, David, we're one city divided by a river. I mean, Niagara Falls, most people don't realize there are two Niagara Falls. In fact, when I travel, and I've done a lot of traveling, and especially when I'm in the U.S. traveling, people will say, aren't you Canadian? And I say, yeah. They go, well, how can you be the mayor of Niagara Falls? I have to explain there's Niagara Falls, Canada. There's Niagara Falls, USA. Most people don't realize till they get here.
Well, there's kind of an opposite role, at least stereotypically, going on with the Canadian side being kind of more, you know, bustling, maybe a little gimmicky, a lot of fun stuff to do. And Emily, you're right, the U.S. side is more peaceful and serene and uncrowded. Aren't Canadians supposed to be the polite ones, the serene ones, the peaceful ones here?
Well, you know what? We love our brothers and our sisters. On the American side, we rolled the red carpet. A lot of my family's American. We spend a lot of the time in the U.S. And I grew up on a border town back in the day when you didn't even need ID to cross the border. And we just shoot across to visit my aunt, or we go across to get some chicken wings and pizza. One of the things Buffalo and Niagara Falls, New York are famous for. We go to Sabres games and we're all Bills fans here. So we feel a lot of community between the two areas. We just see it as Niagara Falls. So we're grateful. And you know what? Anything that happens to one side is good for the other and vice versa. So if you're saying Niagara Falls, if you like Niagara Falls, New York better, I love it because it's good. It's Niagara Falls.
I'm not getting the controversy, war, and fighting that I was hoping for. Emily, you're not a controversial figure on this one. You really did like both sides, didn't you?
I really did. And I tried to paint the article that way because there was... Yeah, the peaceful side, like you were saying, I didn't expect Niagara Falls State Park in New York. I just hadn't really heard about that. And over there, yeah, you could kind of get away from the crowds. But the Canadian side, you had so much to do, like the Clifton Hill area. You know, if I had kids, that would have been awesome. But I still checked out the brewing company over there. And the views just were amazing on that side.
Let's talk about the ferry, or as I call it, the world's most expensive shower. Emily, the ponchos. My understanding is the Canadians wear red ones, the Americans wear blue ones. This is like a poncho war that's going on under the falls?
That was the only way I could differentiate the two boats from high up on the bridge. I don't know about you, Jim, but I think they're pretty similar other than that.
Yeah, they're very similar. Maid of the Mist is on the American side. Hornblower is on the Canadian side. They're both American owned, but it's great. There's no better. If someone came here and they said, listen, I've only got an hour. I only have enough money to do one attraction. I'd say take the boat. You go right up to the falls. You're up close and personal. You can get wet if you want to, or you can stay inside. But to me, the full experience, and I've talked to people from all over the world, and they're like, one day before I die, I have to get to Niagara Falls. But I've seen pictures and videos. I said, that's like saying I saw a picture or video of a steak versus biting into it. A very different experience to be there, to see that full cresting rainbow, see the awe, the power of the falls, feel the mist. There's something about it. It's one of the great natural iconic attractions of this beautiful planet.
Let's talk about the Rainbow Bridge, which lets us really experience both sides together as long as you got a passport. I was today years old when I realized the phrase "my pet crossing over the Rainbow Bridge" didn't just mean some pet owners that owned a pet crossing the bridge at Niagara Falls. When I was a kid, I'd hear that phrase and I'd be like, oh, why are people bringing their dogs and cats to Niagara Falls? I'm totally derailing here, but the bridge, tell me about it. I've only ever, sped across it in my car and not really slowed down to enjoy it.
So it connects Niagara Falls, New York to Niagara Falls, Ontario. And it's a very popular, busy bridge. And once a year, we shut it down for a tug of war. We have the international tug of war between our police services on both sides of the border. And we have the men, and then we have the women. And this past year in 2025, it was the Americans who won 2 out of 3. And last 2 years ago, it was the Canadians who won. So it's a seesaw battle back and forth. The mayor will be there. There'll be a number of other politicians. We cheer on our teams. But the best part, when it's all done, we all get together for a big group picture. And really, it's all about coming together. So we meet on the Rainbow Bridge.
I got to ask a hard-hitting question. It's not going to be that hard-hitting. But in a time where, if you watch the news, countries aren't getting along and such, I won't get into specifics. Can we learn anything about the mayor's office of New York and the mayor's office in Ontario getting along?
Oh, we get along terrifically. We'll call each other. We write each other Christmas cards. We'll phone when we need something. We got family in the area. Mary Stanley's got family here in Niagara Falls, Canada. I've got family in Niagara Falls, USA, and Depew and Poughkeepsie and, all over the USA. So we get along fantastic. We're good friends. And we know what happens to one side affects the other. So we want both sides to be good, reputationally and otherwise. We get along great. That's the thing. When you hear rhetoric from, the federal representatives talking about things along this border, I'm part of an association of all cross-border mayors and our counterparts in the U.S. We get along fantastic. It's like brothers and sisters. My best friend lives in Buffalo in Orchard Park. We go for dinner regularly. Our kids grew up together. It's nothing like, I know sometimes the media likes to play it up like it's adversarial. It's not at all. We're back and forth all the time. There's U.S. plates all over town. They go to our supermarkets and vice versa. So
I don't know. Emily's pretty adversarial seeming. She was totally trashing the Canadian side.
Totally.
You can read Emily Pogue's article in Business Insider. It is called I Visited Niagara Falls on the American and Canadian sides. Both sides had perks, but I still had a favorite. Emily, thank you for allowing me to try to create controversy that wasn't there and sharing details of your trip with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. Definitely check out Niagara Falls. It was absolutely beautiful. Worth the trip.
Unpaid brand ambassador for you right there, Jim.
Hey, listen, next time you come, you let me know you're coming. I can introduce you to some other experiences that a lot of people don't know about that makes it that much more exciting. So reach out, give me a call, and we'll set something up.
Awesome.
And maybe she'll write again that the Canadian side's better than the U.S. one. Mayor Jim Diodati. Jim, thank you for joining us. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. Alas, though, I did not get the viral and violent international incident I so craved. Coming up after the break, good news for you and also me. The television might not be rotting our brains after all. There is a new scientific paper out that says zoning out, scrolling using a screen, even gaming after you get home from work could actually help you recover from stress. Yes, really. That's science in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. This is your invitation to a journey where relationships are dissected, science is simplified, and the news is hilariously twisted. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Have you had a long, stressful day at work? Well, go ahead, kick back, watch some TV. It might help, I promise. Why? Because the science says your brain-dead couch time might actually be preventing you from having burnout. Don't believe me? Well, I'm here with someone who's researched just this. Her name is Soo Min Toh, and she's an organizational behavior professor at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. Sue, welcome to the show.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me.
So we're constantly told, and I've had academics on who've done studies on this, we're constantly told that screen time is bad for us. Full stop. But something had to make you think, wait, maybe zoning out, staring at a TV or phone might actually help somebody, like recover from workplace stress. So what made you suspect that?
Yeah, so I think I resonate with what you were talking about. I think I just didn't want to accept that all TV is bad. Being on my phone all night is a bad thing. And, I also didn't want to be always on my case, on my kids' case, telling them that they shouldn't be spending so much time on their phones or playing games and so on. And so I thought that there has to be something to it where, not all screen time is bad for you. Right. And it really depends on what you need and the situation. And so that really led me to investigate this idea that, we don't really know what the strict restrictions or prescriptions are in terms of screen time, right? As in, like we're telling people that they only need 2 hours or they shouldn't exceed 2 hours of screen time a day. And I just thought there would be something more to that.
Before we get to screens and burnout, what do we mean when we say recovery after a hard day at work? I think we all know what the word recovery means, but what do we really need after a particularly stressful day at work when we're unwinding at home?
So recovery means really just suggests that, every day we're expending resources to do our various tasks, whether it's at work or at home or in school. And so what we need to do when we're expended that energy is that we need to find a way to recover it, restore those resources. And so it could be physical, it could be emotional, right? Or it could be also, psychological, cognitive resources. And so those resources need to be replenished in order for us to keep going again the next day.
I know what it's like to get home after I do my show from home, but after the end of the day, just to want to sit on my couch and watch the most mindless TV and not talk to anybody and not do anything terribly engaging. Does that kind of relaxation recovery, does it matter a lot for burnout, which is when at the workplace we're just completely, totally expended?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I think the theory suggests that there are 4 types of resource recovery. And in fact, one of the types of recovery strategies or tactics that we can use to prevent burnout and, that total exhaustion that we often feel is psychological detachment, which means just sort of disconnecting, right? Not thinking about work, not thinking about your family or people, and, just taking a break from everything that's going on in your life.
This idea of household chaos comes up in your research. Can you speak to me more about that? Like, is this need to relax, maybe take some screen time, is it particularly important if I live in a very chaotic household with children screaming and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we sometimes think that the home is somewhere we can just sort of relax and be quiet. But in fact, that's not always the case, right? We have kids, we're married, we have housemates. And so in those types of situations, we measure that in terms of what we call household chaos. And we also look at household size. And we find that, when we're in those situations at home, we do need a break, right? We do need to recover from also the demands of a busy household when we get home.
And what are the activities? And I know I mentioned TV, phones. Could video games for some people be added to this list?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, video games is probably my favorite thing to do. And I have a sore thumb to to prove it. So yeah, absolutely video games. Especially during the pandemic. And our third study was that looked at during the pandemic where people were isolated as well and needed various outlets. And really video games was the best way to do this, right? To potentially also connect with friends or strangers and just have fun and not think about what else is going on in the world.
Now, video games kind of surprises me because you think it's kind of like intellectually stimulating. So what happens when I engage in these activities? I come home, I've got this chaotic environment at home, I've got this stressful environment at work, and I finally get my hour on the couch to watch mindless reality TV or whatever my poison is. What happens then? What's the benefit?
The benefit is that you are detaching, this idea of psychological detachment, and also relaxing, right? So you're not physically exerting yourself or cognitively exerting yourself, or maybe even engaging in, whatever social interactions that could actually be a strain on you. Even, positive interactions do drain energy from us, right? And resources. And so doing that allows you to step away from that and just stop doing it. So you have a chance to replenish, to rest, to relax, and not think about, sort of other things that are going in your life.
There's this moral sort of judgment associated with certain activities. Like I come out of my office after a long day, I see my girlfriend laying on the couch in her PJs on TikTok, and I try not to judge her. And I think she does the same thing for me when she knows I have to get some work done and I can't stop watching YouTube videos. We judge each other for it. I suppose in some cases we even judge ourselves for it, thinking that we've really wasted our free time. Should we do less of that?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's really key for me. I think we need to be a bit kinder to ourselves. And there's this idea of radical rest, that we really need to do that, right? And somehow we've been programmed to think that resting somehow is wasteful, that we're not being productive all the time. And even the way we rest has to be productive. And, there's certain activities where we're still sort of learning, rather than just kind of going into this mindless state, right? And so there is a lot of judgment, and I try not to judge myself as much when I need that, or also my family, my kids, and others, right? And so I think we all just kind of need to chill out a little bit.
On the flip side of this, we're not making an argument here for unlimited scrolling, are we? I mean, it's got to be time limited. You can't just say, oh, I heard about this research that says that going on the TV is good for you if you're stressed. Therefore, I'm going to spend all weekend, all 48 hours of it on the couch watching videos.
Oh, yeah, certainly that should not be the takeaway of this research, right? And there is a danger of spending too much screen time because it does increase the likelihood of screen addiction, which then leads to other issues and other problems and probably even more chaotic households. So, so that's definitely not the takeaway, but really just to be able to tell yourself and others that it's okay, right? And that some of these activities may be seen as sort of wasteful, but they actually can be really helpful and that you really need it at the end of the day.
Do you have any insight into what that line is between restorative screen time and screen use that is really problematic?
Yeah, so I think that's what I set out to do in this research, and I haven't quite figured out what the exact number of minutes is, because it does depend on what you do and what type of screens you're engaging with. So even on your smartphones, you could be just doom scrolling versus chatting with your family or reading a book, right? And so there's really quite a lot of variation. But there's probably some research that maybe looks at how much fatigue you feel in your eyes, right? In particular, because that's that can lead to eye strain. And so so I think that's more research to be looked at to sort of pinpoint exactly how much time is needed.
Would you say to someone who's listening, exhausted, stressed, about to crash on their couch with a show or their phone, just don't judge yourself too harshly, but maybe don't do that for all 24 hours of the day?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And I think the idea is that we shouldn't get to that point, right, where we feel like we need to crash for 24 hours.
Well, Soo Min Toh is an organizational behavior professor at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. Sue, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks, David.
Coming up next, what's up with this new HBO show and gay hockey players, and why was everyone at the Golden Globes obsessed with the actors in that program? It's that and some highlights from the Golden Globes up in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Taste the forbidden fruit of knowledge. The last show with David Cooper.
Hockey. Is there anything more gay? Well, you might think the answer is no to that question, but there's a new series on HBO about gay hockey players and also the Golden Globes. Those are the things we're going to discuss here with Caitlin Green, he said, as he did one of the best introductions of his career. Caitlin Green's a media personality. You can find her co-hosting the Jan Arden podcast as well. Caitlin, award season, welcome in.
This is my season. I'm so thrilled. I love it because there are so many little things to pick over that happen at every award show, and every award show has its own flavor. And the Golden Globes is firmly planted in the fun category. The celebrities all sit together at these tables. They all get drunk. They're served food, unlike the Oscars. So it's less stuffy and kind of just a better time.
And it's the least prestigious, so it's kind of like the celebrities enter it with this I don't GAF attitude, you know? Like they don't really care because it's not an Emmy, it's not an Oscar, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and it's definitely gone through a roller coaster of sort of importance. And I think it's a bit back as an awards show, and people like it. You know, they I don't know that it's a good decider for what's going to happen at the Oscars on its own. There are a lot of other awards that happen that I think statistically are more likely to indicate who will win an Oscar. But this is nice. These are always like, this is a nice to have. Like no actor or actress is going to say like, I don't care about winning the Golden Globes. You do. You still do.
I think it's more honest lumping TV and movies in together. I don't know. I think this big divide between the two right now makes no sense with streaming. But this is a conversation maybe for another time. Let's talk about the actual awards.
Yeah. Well, okay. The good thing too about this awards show that I think you'll appreciate, since this show is also a podcast, is they now have a best podcast category.
Yes. And who won that one, by the way?
Okay, so Amy Poehler's podcast won for Good Hang. And look, I love that show, but it's so new. Like her and Mel Robbins were both nominated, and I was like, these are new, but Amy is new. So I felt like if you were, Alex Cooper or the people at NPR or Dax Shepard, you'd be a bit like happy because everyone in Hollywood likes Amy Poehler and she's great, but also like she's not been around for that long with this pod. That was how I felt. I would have liked to see somebody who had a longer run up.
Fair enough. And she's like kind of an actress who, turned podcaster. She hasn't spent her life in journalism like some of these other people, I guess.
No, she's not Mark Maron. She's not like, she's not sort of the godmother of podcasting. She's very new to this, and she's totally leveraging her celebrity. But like the guys from Smartless also were nominated.
Yeah. I was trying to listen to Smartless the other day. That's Jason Bateman.
Will Arnett. And
the other guy.
I'm going to butcher. No, and I love him so much. He's from Will and Grace. This is going to drive me crazy that I can't remember it. Anyways, keep going.
Oh, yeah. No. My friend worked with him on a podcast, and I saw him on a show on Broadway. It was called Goodnight Oscar. What is his name? Sean?
Yes.
Sean Hayes? No,
yep, Sean Hayes.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, but back to, it's like they're just celebrities. They don't really know how to podcast, but because you already feel like you know them because you've seen them act in so many things, you kind of love them, even though they don't, it's like it's not NPR. It's not, I don't know. It's not 99% Invisible or any of these popular podcasts,
Yeah. And I like the work that I guess Alex Cooper and Dax Shepard have done in interviewing celebrities, because Dax was like a D-list celebrity for a long time. And he really has been forthcoming about how hard that was on his ego. And he'll talk about that with the people who he's friends with from being in Hollywood. And Alex Cooper, like she was famous initially for talking about like sex acts on her show. And now she has Kamala Harris on. So, and her interview skills have come a long way. Like I've listened to her for a while, and she's actually a really good interviewer. So I did find it a bit fluffy that like, Amy has just this sort of like nice chat with celebrities she's friends with, and she won, but the production value is great on that show. And I'm really just happy to see podcasts celebrated as content now.
Me too. Me too. Okay, let's talk about Heated Rivalry, HBO. I'm going to watch it. I've told my girlfriend I will watch it. It is about two gay hockey players, and it's the most violent of the professional sports. They sort of allow fighting. What's more gay than that? A bunch of dudes grabbing each other on the ice? Come on.
Football for starters.
Oh yeah, you're maybe right. Now that I think about it, it's more of a group activity.
Yeah, 100% football is.
This show is controversial, and I honestly don't really get it. It's 2026.
Is it?
There are those that are like, especially in hockey, a sport that doesn't famously have too many openly gay players.
That's every sport.
True.
Yeah.
True, but there's no other series right now featuring 2 gay players in those sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that the thing about this is like maybe it just depends on like what side of the internet you're on. Mine is like overly obsessed and celebratory of this show. And it was a book before, and the book series was wildly successful. So I think that my take from Heated Rivalry has been it's rare now in 2026 to see 2 stars who were literally just discovered, not famous, not Nepo babies. This isn't Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter. This isn't some, and they didn't start on some teen show and then they came out of nowhere. These people were they had 5,000 followers, and then one day they have 1.5 million followers, and they are doing every single outlet. They are the biggest story on the red carpet at the Golden Globes. The show's not even nominated. It just became a hit within like the last 2 months. And the second they arrive, everyone from like GQ to Vogue to the New York Times, all of their social accounts, it's just like, oh my God, they're here. They're following them at every after party. They want to read their lips. And the Canadian guy of the two, because the actors' names are Connor Story, and then the Canadian one is Hudson Williams. He has no media training. He talks about it all the time. He says he doesn't want any. And so he goes around like a regular citizen, like one of us, when he goes to these things, talking about how sweaty he is on camera, saying he's too tired. He doesn't want to talk to anyone anymore. Like, it's just great to see them.
You like that? You like that no media training, loosey-goosey, I'm having a panic attack right now, I don't know what's going on, and I'm going to say it to whoever's got a microphone in front of me?
He's more confident than that, and he's more, there's something that undercuts sort of the seriousness, how serious we all take this about him, because he's brand new. It's like watching a toddler walk into a room. Like, he just has never been here before. He was on the set of Canadian indie movies literally 6 months ago. And so now he's here, and I think he realizes that it's crazy and kind of ridiculous. But him and his co-star Connor Story have great chemistry, and they have great chemistry wherever they go, even at parties and stuff. So I like it. Now, look, that shtick could get old, but for right now, I'm enjoying it.
Tell me about media training. Like, what would you have these guys do any differently?
Well, any sort of media training would just mean that when you get places, you're going to be like much more aware of your angles. And when you do your interviews, it's a lot of like, I'm so excited to be here. Oh my goodness. Like, look at this famous person over here. Like a little bit more, gee gosh, like I'm the new person. And instead he's just like, oh my God, it's hot on this red carpet. I'm so sweaty. Can you give me 1 minute before I answer this question? And like, he's just telling you something that you would hear from a regular human being.
And then the other thing you said was lip reading. Is this like a trend these days? Cameras are trying to guess what celebrities are saying based on their lips. Side note, in a future with AI, I feel like lip reading is going to be pretty accurate, but that's maybe a conversation for another guest. Tell me about lip reading at the Globe Awards.
Lip reading is now this very interesting thing that happens at awards shows because it catches celebrities in conversation with one another. And sometimes lip readers on the internet, so they have tons of followers on TikTok and Instagram, and it's people who pick over video footage and try to figure out what is being said. And so this kind of became a big thing within the last 2 years. And now every time there is Timothée Chalamet whispering into the ear of Kylie Jenner, or Leonardo DiCaprio trying to talk to somebody across the room and they're laughing and sharing a bit, or any sort of perceived drama between Taylor Swift and someone she's feuding with at the Grammys, whatever it is, people start tagging these lip reading accounts and they pick it up and they put out what they think these celebrities are saying. And it is, without fail, the thing everybody seems to wait for on the internet now more than anything else. Like, sure, it's nice to see an acceptance speech, but you really want to see who's fighting with who when the cameras aren't rolling.
Question, were there any surprise lip read takes from people on the internet this year?
The best one I've seen so far is that Leonardo DiCaprio kind of looks like a bit of a like gossipy friend. He's mouthing to somebody at another table that he was watching them during the K-pop Demon Hunters performance, because the song from that won Best Song. And he starts mouthing to a friend that he was watching them watch what was happening on stage and be so confused and asking everyone around them, well, what is K-pop Demon Hunters? Can you please explain this to me? And he's saying, I was watching you do that. And that was the funniest thing to me. It was so hilarious. You're like, oh, this is just two friends gossiping at a party is what's happening.
I have had K-pop Demon Hunters explained to me. I've watched the trailer for it, and I still don't understand. And I'm pretty sure if I watched it, I still wouldn't understand. I'm here with Caitlin Green. We're discussing the Golden Globes. When we come back, we'll talk some of the biggest awards from the night. As we continue our conversation about the Golden Globes, I just started and ended a sentence the same way. Caitlin Green's a media personality. Check her out at the Jan Arden podcast. And we got Golden Globes, saying it the third time now, coming up next. I'm David Cooper. This is The Last Show.
Every day at Sierra, you'll find top brand apparel, footwear, and gear for 20 to 60% less than department and specialty store prices. And during clearance time at Sierra, those incredible prices are 40 divided by 2.5, carry the 1, even lower. And when you shop clearance at Sierra, you can save a whole lot more on everything you need to get active and outside. That's a lot of saving. Epic brands, vast selection, teeny tiny prices. That's Sierra. Visit your local Sierra store today or shop online at sierra.com.
We're here because your heightened awareness deserves heightened entertainment. The Last Show with David Cooper.
All right, it's discussion of the Golden Globe Awards, and the winner of Best Actress and I actually share a common medication, which we're going to discuss here with Caitlin Green, a media personality. Check her out on the Jan Arden podcast. Caitlin, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much.
You have not seen Pluribus, you revealed to me at the break, the show that won at least Best Actress. It's a great show. I feel like everyone's been talking about it.
Yeah, people love Pluribus. I think I was consumed a little bit with Heated Rivalry in my recent content consumption. So I do have to watch that. And yes, so the star of the show, Rhea Seehorn, won Best Actress in a Drama for television series. And she had a pretty great acceptance speech.
She did. She freaked out and she said, I don't have my medication. I guess she wasn't expecting to get the award. I'm not sure, but beta blockers are the medication. And I've been on these things since like 2014. I take them as needed for performances. You intimidate me, Caitlin, so I had to take one for you. I'm kidding. But when I do, I used to take it a lot for stand-up, and it just helps a little bit with anxiety, but it doesn't like slow you down so much.
Mm-hmm. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, by the way. But yes.
You intimidate me so much that I need beta blockers.
It just warms my heart.
That's what I want to hear on a first date.
So yeah, they are the long-held secret of Hollywood for when people have to do late-night appearances. That's a really big one. You might think that actors are very, very confident and outgoing, but a lot of these like late-night appearances freak them out, and award shows freak them out. Giving an acceptance speech freaks them out. You're not playing someone else, you're playing yourself, and you have to thank everyone and get it done in 30 seconds, and don't sweat too much and don't stumble over your words. So she said, I forgot my beta blockers, and it was probably very relatable to every single person in that room and a lot of people at home. And if you feel like propranolol might be right for you, talk to your doctor.
Yeah. It's a prescription medication, but essentially like, and classical musicians take it before big performances.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's for performance anxiety.
Exactly. It just helps with like the sweating and the doom spiral and the like heart palpitations. It just kind of takes the physical edge off of, you don't get a lump in your throat, things like that.
Yeah, if you have a physical reaction to anxiety and stress, these are really, really helpful. I wish that I knew about them back in the day, and not for big moments of being on stage or anything like that. It was like every time I had to go into like a negotiation about my job and sit down one-on-one with a manager, I had a near allergic level physical reaction to the conversation. I would break out into hives.
Wow.
I would become covered in sweat. And so I would use beta blockers. Like I could go on stage at the Scotiabank Arena here in Toronto tomorrow in front of 50,000 people and be less nervous than I would be probably at like a one-on-one dinner with someone who was like in charge of my job.
Interesting. So asking for a raise is, anyway, this is all allegedly, we're not medical professionals. Talk to your doctor.
But yeah, that was a acceptance speech highlight. Another one was Rose Byrne. She won for Best Actress in a comedy or musical for the movie If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which I saw. And my God, she was good in this. She was fantastic. But the movie is a very tense thriller. And so she really didn't expect to win. She's up against Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good. She's up against Amanda Seyfried. Like she's up against a lot of people who had more buzz around them. And so when she gets up there, she goes, and of course I've prepared no speech. And I want to say to everybody, I didn't sing in this movie. I wasn't particularly funny. But she immediately launches into thanking her husband, who didn't even come with her to the awards show, because she said he had to go to a amphibian and lizard convention in New Jersey to get their kids a bearded dragon.
Wait, that was what she had a bearded dragon on the show she did with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Platonic.
Yep, exactly right. You are exactly right. And I guess she liked the bearded dragon so much that she wanted one for her kids. So her husband, actor Bobby Cannavale, didn't come to the Golden Globes. He went to a lizard convention in New Jersey to pick up a bearded dragon.
What are people wearing? We got to cover the fashion, Caitlin. We got to cover the fashion.
It's all black everything, which is great because you already have it in your closet. Everyone already has an all black outfit in their closet, and that's what every major celeb was wearing on the red carpet this year.
Black is in for 2026?
It's so in, it's crazy. And because a lot of stylists, like they would, kind of encourage away from that eventually. And like, look, there were moments of sparkle. I saw a lot of really nice sparkle, silver, some green sparkle too. And some black and white, like Selena Gomez and Charlie XCX had a really beautiful black and white on. But for the men, it was really all black everything. You're going to see some dazzling on the lapel, lots of brooches happening for men. But yeah, black gowns aplenty. It was a moody kind of gothic rock and roll red carpet, and I thought it looked chic as hell.
Do celebs have like an iMessage group chat, and if you have an Android, you're out, where they coordinate this kind of thing? Like, how do they all align on a color to wear on the red carpet? Like, is it the stylist? Is it the fashion? Is it the clothing companies? How do they all know to wear black?
Ding, ding, ding. It's the stylist. It's the stylist. And like, it is something you would hope that you encourage away from because nobody wants to be on the red carpet looking the same as everybody else, obviously. And that will embarrassingly happen to some. I have seen some big name Hollywood stylists actually have two of their clients show up to an event in the same outfit, which is like the ultimate faux pas. It's fire-worthy if you are a celebrity. But yeah, I mean, because the big fashion houses are clearly turning out all black outfits, this is what the stylists who have relationship with these houses are going to wear. And if the celebrity you're seeing has a partnership with, say, Chanel or Louis Vuitton or whatever, they're being paid to wear them during award season, then yeah, they're all going to wear that. They're all going to wear black. They're all going to wear the same diamonds.
Can we talk Best Actress for a Comedy and TV, Jean Smart in the show Hacks? Because she is playing the role of a lifetime in that show. For anyone who hasn't seen it, she's kind of this washed up Vegas resident comedian. She meets a millennial or a Gen Z girl who's a writer who's all about like telling your real story. And she has this stunning career transformation where she starts telling the truth about her career and all the trauma she's had and stuff. And at first she's not successful, and then she is, and it's just a wonderful show, and it's a wonderful role, and it's a wonderful exploration of like what art making truly can be. It's one of my favorite TV programs, and she does such a good job in it. And I don't even know what the question is, Caitlin. I just want to say she's great, and I'm glad she won an award.
Me too. And I'm glad that the reign of Hacks continues because it is really hard to be a show that turns out this kind of content and this kind of story arc every single year. You can run out of road with your characters really quickly. And they've moved her around so successfully in her career. You retain interest in her. And Hacks has just been such a hit. And I love that it's a 30-minute comedy. I mean, 30-minute comedies, bring these back. Everything is so friggin' long. It's so verbose. And I just think this is some really great punchy writing, but it still has a lot of heart, and it's been fun to see her make this comeback. If you aren't already watching Hacks, go watch it wherever you're going to because it's fabulous.
The 30-minute TV show, when I shop for TV programs to watch, I look at episode length. Same with movies. The 3-hour movie, no thank you. The hour 45 to 2, great, I'm in. Length, there should be like best properly lengthed film award.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it would be best editing, I guess, in theory. That could be it. Okay. I also want to say we need to have a category for best casting. We have a category for just about everything else. And the art of casting needs to be better understood and celebrated by people because when you have a casting director who knows who to put in a role, my God, it give this person an award. I want this so badly. And I know we're trying to whittle down award shows and make them shorter. And I'm trying to add a category that maybe no one else likes, but I think it's important. Oh, and to your point about length, my favorite movie of the year, which was very celebrated last night, was One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson. So he won Best Director, it won Best Comedy or Musical, Best Screenplay, and it is so good and it is so damn long, David. It is so long, this movie.
I'm looking at the runtime right here. He said slowly, about 2 hour 40. Yeah, that's a long movie.
It's a long time. You have to figure out when to time your pee break. Like if you go to see it in a VIP cinema or a cinema that serves alcohol.
You got to dehydrate yourself, which is bad for your kidneys. I mean, that's a whole thing.
I kind of like to have a beer sometimes when I go to the movies. And so here I am, 2 pints in, one battle after another, and I have to leave.
Quickly, Seth Rogen accepting an award where he did a TV show where he covered the Golden Globes and accepted an award as his character. He gets up there and he's like, this is so weird.
I love The Studio. I think that's another show that has done such a good look at the entertainment industry. I think that's what Hacks does really well also. And Seth Rogen is just very cutting and sardonic and funny. And he also famously does a lot of drugs that would probably change your perspective on life and on the experience of being famous. So I can appreciate that for him as kind of a stoner, being in the room accepting the Golden Globe when you made a whole episode about the Golden Globes on your show and how insane they are would not be lost on him. Like, he's going to do LSD later at an after party and be like, what is going on?
I'll just say allegedly in case his legal team's listening. Caitlin Green, check her out on the Jan Arden podcast where she is co-host. And Caitlin, what a pleasure it was having you on the show. Thanks for being here.
Always so nice.
Just after the break, we'll talk about Gen Z and anxiety. I know earlier in the program we said you're able to go on your screen at home at night and that may decrease your stress. But for young people, anxiety levels are through the roof. Why? New research says it's how they use social media. We'll dig into it in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Exploring both interstellar and interpersonal space-time continuums. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Gen Z is a little anxious, and by that I mean very anxious compared to other generations. And that thing in their pocket, on their nightstand, and in their hand is making it worse. What is that thing? You'll never guess. It's their phone. If you don't believe me, I'm here with somebody whose study shows a connection between screen time and anxiety levels for young people. His name is Stephen Neely, and he's an associate professor of public affairs at the University of South Florida. Stephen, welcome to the program.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
Before we get into screens and TikTok and all that, when you looked at the data, what surprised you most about the anxiety levels of young people? Not necessarily what they're doing to cause it.
So I think that what really stands out is that this is the third in a series of survey projects we've done on this topic, and some of them have focused more on political stress. Some of them have focused more on clinical conditions such as anxiety and depression. But what we continue to see over and over is that the highest rates of anxiety, regardless of the context, be it political, be it financial, be it life in general, the highest rates are coming from Gen Z, and not just from Gen Z, but specifically from young women in Gen Z. They are exhibiting substantially higher rates of anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. And we do see very strong correlations within that data to their actual use of social media, and not just their time on social media, but how and why they use social media.
When I think of my grandparents, my parents, this is not a generation that talked a lot about mental health. I'm a millennial. I know my generation probably did more than Gen X and boomers. Could it be that young people have more language and they're just talking about their own mental health more? Or, of course, did your study correct for that?
So there's absolutely an issue there that young people are more willing to acknowledge and discuss mental health concerns, and that's a really good thing. It's a really positive thing for society that we're reducing the stigma around mental health. But there are some ways to get around that question of whether what we're seeing is actually an increase in mental health concerns or just a greater willingness to talk about it. If you read The Anxious Generation, very popular book that's been out recently, you'll see that there's one of the ways around that is to look at the rates of self-harm. Really, really dark topic, but rates of self-harm among young people. Are they tracking up along with these perceived increases in anxiety and depression? And the answer it's shown in that book, alarmingly, is absolutely yes.
Got it.
In our data, we didn't measure that, but what we tried to measure was the correlation between the dose and the dose response relationship with social media usage. So if Gen Z is just more willing to talk about mental health concerns, anxiety, depression, so forth, then that would be blanket across Gen Z. It wouldn't be correlated or wouldn't step up with increased uses of social media, and it wouldn't step up with different perceptions of social media. And we see both. We see that social media, even when we break the data down to just look at the Gen Z and millennials, social media is correlated with higher rates of anxiety and depression.
Okay, so for those that are hearing, Gen Z has the highest anxiety out of any generation for the nth time. I myself am one of these people. What does your study do to actually help us understand why this is happening? Of course, phones is what I talked about in your intro here. Tell me about how that's working. Why is it that screen time is causing more anxiety?
So it's really easy to kind of demonize social media in this conversation because there's clearly very strong links. I mean, obviously, some of the companies, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, they've been outed even by their own employees who have leaked internal studies showing that they recognize the harm that these platforms are causing, particularly to young women. So it's really easy to demonize them, but let's remember that every single technology, every major advance comes with its pros and cons. Social media has a lot of benefits, whether it's helping grandparents stay more connected with their distant grandkids, whether it's facilitating civic engagement to, very pronounced examples like the Arab Spring or like disaster responses where people have been rescued because Twitter worked when the phones didn't. So we don't want to just throw out the baby with the bathwater here. What we're looking at is very specific patterns of social media usage, and where we see the most significant impacts or when we get into, in academics, we use this term called uses and gratifications of media. Hopefully that doesn't put anyone to sleep. But uses and gratifications are why we use the media we use and what benefit we receive from them. When we look at people who just use social media to stay connected with friends and family, they actually have lower on average rates of anxiety than those who use social media for other reasons. Where are the highest rates of anxiety in social media usage? It's people who say they use it for to stay on top of trends and culture, to follow news and current events, to learn about health and fitness and beauty trends. So what we see here is two through lines. One is social comparison. People who use social media in ways that facilitate social comparison exhibit higher rates of anxiety. And then the other is kind of the outrage machine. And this is where, if you've watched The Social Dilemma or other documentaries about how social media works, you know that the algorithms that determine what you see when you log into Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it might be, the algorithms that determine what you see are designed to maximize your engagement. And nothing engages you more than anger.
Yeah.
And so feeding outrage, feeding sensational stories about the news, sensational conspiracy-based stories, whatever it might be, those increase engagement very effectively in terms of what the algorithm rewards. The algorithm doesn't care if you engage with something because you love it or because you hate it. It just cares if you engage. And so people who follow the news on social media are exhibiting very high rates of stress.
So social comparison, especially on the internet where anyone can post their life, is not realistic. It is something that you compare yourself to, but it's not even attainable. And on the other hand, it's this outrage machine. These are the perfect recipes to cause anxiety. Is this the way that Gen Z is overwhelmingly using their phones when they report high anxiety?
Yes, we are seeing clear links between these reported behaviors, and that's something that we added this time to the survey that I think is a little unique, a little novel compared to some of the prior studies you've seen. We looked at these uses and gratifications measures, and we found that clear pattern. The other thing I would mention about Gen Z is it's not just that they're anxious about social comparison. I have a book coming out in about 2 months called The Anxious State, and we ran 4 surveys measuring stress during 2024, during the election year. And I expected going into that the highest rates of political stress would be among older voters because they have so much at stake in the system: healthcare, Social Security, home ownership. All of these things are major political issues that tend to make them more likely to vote. But the highest rates of anxiety was also among, in that case, the highest rates of political stress was also among Gen Z, also among young women in Gen Z, and once again, directly correlated with social media usage. So it's not just I'm going on social media and I'm seeing that all of my friends are posting these kind of fake moments, and that's stressing me out because my life doesn't live up to that. They're also getting their news through these platforms. And the more likely they are to get their news, the more stressed out they are.
If someone, perhaps a young adult, is listening and thinking, I don't want to use media this way and feel this way, but also is thinking, I can't just quit social media, what does your research suggest they do? What do you suggest they do?
So yeah, we're not gonna play the delete your account game because it's not realistic. So our advice would be, don't feed the algorithm. Don't engage with things that outrage you. Don't engage with things that make you feel less than. Just a side note real quickly, we ran a prior study on body image issues related to social media, and people who think that social media is a reflection of real life exhibit the highest body image disorders. So don't engage with that content and the algorithm will stop feeding it to you.
Stephen Neely is an associate professor of public affairs at the University of South Florida. Stephen, I've enjoyed the chat. Thanks for sharing your research with me. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, David.
After the break, could the board game Catan be training you for business, power, and persuasion? Or just make you better at stealing stuff from your friends? Lessons on this from an academic in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. The show that asks the questions other shows are afraid to ask. The Last Show with David Cooper.
What could a board game do for you? Beyond bragging rights and maybe playful trash talk, the game Catan might be training your brain for strategy, negotiation, and navigating messy real-world power dynamics. I'm here with someone who's recently written about this. She is a business studies lecturer at the University of Wollongong in Australia. Her name is Nelly Liyanagamage. Nelly, welcome to the show.
Thanks, David.
For those who have never played Catan, what is the aha moment when you realize this isn't just a fun board game, but something sneaky that's happening to your brain while you play it?
I think it happens when you play it several times. It's the first time, obviously, you're playing almost to lose, really trying to understand the rules of the game. But the second time, you realize that there are strategies involved, especially when you see how other people are playing the game. And there are so many elements in there. It's not really a highly strategic game as such, but there are strategic avenues that you can take in order to win the game. And it's really the second time you realize, oh, actually, I could have done this. I could have used this resource to win, or I should have played this move in order to win. That's really when you think, okay, this is a fantastic board game to mimic the strategic environment that we live in.
For me, it's this profound realization that I'm not very good at the game, so I lay on the charm offensive and I try to convince people to make bad trades and stuff. And that, for me, is how I do it. But that's a legitimate strategy, right? Like just being really charming to your peers?
It is. I think Catan really involves communication, interpersonal relationships. It helps knowing your opponents, especially because there's a lot of negotiation involved. And charming, charisma, all that helps in terms of, in a way, getting what you want in order to win the game.
So, Catan, if it does build strategic thinking, what kinds of things are going on in your brain that we're actually training? Like the kinds of things that most of us don't practice in everyday life?
Yeah. So one of the things that we do in strategic management in terms of business studies is really think about analyzing the external environment. So political environment, the technological innovations, the social processes, as well as the internal environment, such as what resources do we have? What are our capabilities as an organization? When you're playing Catan, you have to think about those two elements at an ongoing basis. You need to think about what's your opponents trying to do, what resources might they have, and what resources do you have in order for you to negotiate with them to offer them the best, trade-off, to say, this is what I have, and I know you have these elements, and you need this to build the next house. So let's make a trade.
Got it. So a game like chess, I would argue, is not luck at all. There's no random chance involved. A game like roulette is pretty much completely luck. It's all random, and if you get the right number, you've won. What's the balance with Catan? Is it mostly luck? Is it mostly skill? How do those two dynamics play off each other?
There is a sense of luck in Catan as well, because you do have to roll a dice in order to get the numbers and also get the resources. So I would say there's that element of luck. And there is a play where if you roll a 7, you can put a robber on someone else's resource to block them from getting access to resources. So you can use the luck to your advantage, if that makes sense. Yeah, and I think you do have to be strategic as well. You can't just let the luck take you forward. You can't win just by luck. You must be strategic.
So let's talk about these strategies, the different types of player personalities that might emerge at the table. You got someone who's like a resource hoarder. You got someone, me, who really tries to be the smooth talker. You got a quiet assassin. What are some of the strategies that can be played out in the game that map to real life strategies?
I think some of the elements that we discuss in our classroom is a strategist who's able to evolve, especially because that's the element of luck. You must be flexible. Yes, you might have the same end goal, which is to win Catan to get the 10 victory points. But then as you play, you might realize, okay, someone's blocked my path. My previous strategy does not work anymore. So I need to figure out a different route for me to win. And I found that quite effective, the ability to be flexible and understand, okay, this strategy doesn't work anymore. What is another strategy for me?
So here's something we could all do well learning a little bit from, whether it's like a conversation with your boss about getting a raise or something like that, the ability to negotiate. What can Catan teach us about negotiating?
I think that's where I would say analyze. You need to know your opponent. You need to know the resources they have to be able to leverage on the resources that you have as well. So you need to know the environment that you exist in as well for you to be able to say, okay, this is the strengths that I'm bringing. This is what you have. We can work together. You know, we can have a mutual benefit if we partner up. We can stay ahead of the other guy who has these resources who might win. But if we work together, we might be able to go a bit forward.
Can a game like this mirror our real life? Can a game like this mirror real life business strategies? Make an argument for me on that one.
It could, but we do have to be quite careful because at the end, this is a board game. Yes, it mimics some sorts of business environment, and it is a fantastic way for the students to really apply these strategic management theories to a practical setting. But at the same time, there are certain takeaways from Catan that we do talk about that we shouldn't really mirror in the real life. For example, monopolizing certain resources. In Catan, yes, that can have a strategic advantage, but in real life, that could be quite unethical, especially because we do want to promote ethical business practices that considers not just the business itself or prioritizing resources that a business has, but also how do we contribute to the community as such. So there are certain takeaways from Catan that I think we do discuss in our classroom where we shouldn't really bring to the business environment as well.
Now, there are those among us that hate negotiating. It causes them anxiety. There are those among us that any kind of business risk or money risk really makes them nervous. Can Catan be a really good kind of practice area for getting those skills and getting students more comfortable with those skills?
100%. I think it brings the classroom from a really formalized environment to an informal environment where students communicate with each other because they must. There's always a competitive nature in everyone, I think. And when we're playing Catan, you see that everyone wants to try to win. And obviously communication and negotiation is part of that. So that makes them open up a bit more, put them out of their comfort zone in a fun, exciting environment.
Well, you've convinced me, Nelly. Maybe one day you and I will get a chance to play. If there's one life lesson, maybe even a spicy one, that you would want everyone to take away from this board game, what would it be?
I would say one life lesson from Catan really is self-reflection, especially after you lose a game. You sit there and you wonder, why did I lose? Right? And then you go back and think, what did I do wrong? And how can I change so that next time I'm better prepared in terms of my own understanding and in terms of understanding the game in order to win the next round.
That one's surprisingly deep. Thanks, Nelly. I appreciate you being on the show. Thanks for talking to me about the strategic benefits we can all learn from Catan.
Thanks, David.
Nelly Liyanagamage is a business studies lecturer at the University of Wollongong in Australia. In just a few moments' time, imagine a pizza ad that reads, "If you hate cheese, please don't order this." You'd think a pizza shop wouldn't run that ad. But there's a new marketing paper that says telling people not to buy your product can actually make the right customers want it more. Does that mean there's such a thing as exclusive pizza? We'll walk you through this curious finding in a minute.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Broadcasting from the intersection of chaos and more chaos. The last show with David Cooper.
Great product marketing. It may not be about appealing to everyone, every consumer, but instead being honest about who a product is for and who it isn't for. Drawing boundaries can make the right consumers feel more seen. Let's talk about this finding with someone who's done research on it, Karen Ann Wallach, a marketing professor from the University of Alabama in Huntsville. Karen, welcome to the program.
Thank you, David. It's good to be here.
The gut reaction I have is if a company tells me this product is not for you, it feels like the wrong move. Like, why would a company ever want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And that's, I think, what made this finding so interesting is that normally you think, marketers are kind of screaming, hey, buy my product, we're the thing for you. But we actually found by telling people, hey, if you don't like this kind of thing, this isn't a good fit for you. It made them more interested in the product if it was a fit for them. And it was actually really effective.
I'm reminded of the Yorkie chocolate bar, which I don't think does this anymore, but up until like the early 2010s, this was a UK-based chocolate bar, and it said, Yorkie, not for girls. That was their marketing campaign, and it made no sense to me because it's a candy bar. It does feel like the wrong move. They of course dropped that, so maybe for them it was the wrong move. But there are many products that are not designed for many people. Why be honest about that in your marketing literature?
Well, before I answer that question, I want to mention in terms of the UK ad, and there's been a couple ads like that with male deodorant where they say, not for girls and things like that. And I want to differentiate between something being, let's say, exclusive and maybe being a little harsh. And I think that's a bad idea. If you do anything that just turns people off, if it's offensive or any way that you kind of feel a little cringe, you're losing the concept. It's more about just being an honest conversational to say, hey, if you we did a great study with, if you don't like dark coffee, we're not the coffee for you. And you're just kind of telling people, hey, if this is what you want, we're for you, and if you don't, we're not for you. So it's a little different.
It is, and Yorkie's a bad example because that was just offensive for no reason. Like it was almost.
We don't want to offend people.
But let's talk about this coffee example. I suppose if a really high-end or specialty coffee roaster was like, hey, if you don't like this specific thing we do, it's not for you. As someone who likes it, it might tell me, oh, you're really thinking about the customer here. Is that the mechanism by which this works?
Yeah, so the mechanism was pretty simple, actually. It was the idea that you feel like this company is specifically talking to you, which we call target specificity, this kind of concept that I'm in their target audience and they probably designed this product for people just like me. And that feeling that this product is made for people like me, you're more interested in the product itself.
So how well do ads that are specifically targeted like that, how well do they perform versus generic ads? Like everyone loves our coffee, even though secretly maybe people won't because it's too dark for them.
Well, I mean, part of this is just that it is a novel concept. We're so used to this like inundated world where every marketing message is just like, buy me, buy me. And so this is, I think people really appreciate honesty. We actually did it with an online experiment on Facebook. I worked with an online retailer for toothbrushes, and they found a huge increase in engagement and clicks and overall interest in the product just by saying, hey, if you don't like this type of product, or, in this case, if it was, if you don't like a certain type of bristle, we're not the toothbrush for you.
Okay, it wasn't if you don't have teeth, we're not the toothbrush for you.
No,
Got it.
no. Although if you didn't have teeth, you probably wouldn't want the toothbrush. So maybe you could say that.
What's happening in my head as a consumer when I read a discerning or dissuasive ad like this? What's going on when I see an ad? I see an ad saying this product's for me and not other people. What's going on?
Yeah. So what's happened basically is your brain is saying, I feel like there's something about this product that makes it specialized for me. And I feel like I have more of a fit, more of an alignment with this brand or with this product. At the end of the day, we all want to feel like we are understood and our needs are being met by brands and by products. And so this signals to kind of the person that says, hey, they're really talking about me and they're meeting my needs and I'm the right fit for them.
Part of me thinks a consumer might think that they're trying to use reverse psychology on me. They're trying to get me to engage a fear of missing out. I'm going to be skeptical. Like, why are they telling me that other people don't need this and I do? Are there those who respond to ads like this skeptically?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, that was the first thing we thought was, oh, this is just a FOMO, right? And this idea, I should mention, was born out of my own experience. So my husband and I were mattress shopping, and there was this mattress. It was like an ad, and it said, if you like hard mattresses, this isn't for you. And he was like, oh, we don't like hard mattresses. We should check out this mattress. And that's where it all got to thinking. It had nothing to do with I'm going to miss out on a mattress, right? It was, hey, they kind of they're ruling out this idea that I'm a better match or I'm not a better match. So it really isn't necessarily about fear of missing out. It's not really that exciting to miss out on a hard mattress or a soft toothbrush. It's really kind of this idea that the perception that it's a fit for you, it gets you.
I want to say I moved last year and we bought a new mattress, and I'm thinking in my head, like, I don't like firm mattresses. Maybe I should have checked out wherever you went, and maybe I didn't buy the right one. I don't know.
It's a great mattress, by the way, so it works.
So I guess this challenges a classic marketing instinct. What is the classic instinct? What was the thinking before your research challenged it?
I mean, the thinking was just kind of we're all living in this world where marketers for a long time have thought we need to kind of sell all these consumers on our product. We actually started this project by interviewing about 100 marketers and just saying, which do you think would be better? Which do you think is a better idea? And overwhelmingly, these marketers told us, well, it's classic marketing. You have to tell people this product is for them. You want to kind of explain to people why this product is for them. And so it is kind of an interesting thing to say, like, no, actually, you want to tell them if it's a fit for them and if it's not for a fit for them.
Are there particular product categories where this kind of dissuading a certain group of people might work well or doesn't work well? I'm thinking of our earlier example of the candy bar. It might not work well there. We're thinking mattresses where it does work well. Are there any others?
Yeah, I mean, we really do try to limit this to the product and know this. The idea about this was to help consumers find a fit and be honest. We don't want to have anything to do with things outside of a product. So you should never use this in anything about certain's identity, anything about things that might be seen as, unethical. There's a lot of things I think people could take this to and it wouldn't work in a sense because people would find it offensive. So in your example of like gender, things like that, you want to stay clear of offending people.
Could this backfire in any ways? There must be some way in which this could spectacularly backfire.
This could backfire if somebody took this idea and said, hey, I can make this really kind of wrong and use it in a sense of being offensive.
Got it.
For example, somebody told me the other day in San Francisco, there's been a bunch of billboards that said, basically in the lines of, if you're looking to work with people, we're not the AI for you or something like that. And it's kind of gotten a lot of, a lot of people saying this isn't right, but because that's something that is very personal and kind of offensive. So you want to stay clear of things that, going on with the world. We want to steer clear of anything like that. Just keep it simple. It's really a simple concept around a product.
Having previously lived in San Francisco, having previously worked in the tech industry as an employee and not a business owner, the idea of an ad like advertising to CEOs like, hey, you can use this AI and maybe lay off your employees.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. And I probably got the wording wrong, but that was the general idea of the article I was reading about. This idea of you're turning away people in a way that just doesn't morally seem ethical. So yeah.
For someone who runs a business, perhaps a small one or a personal brand, any big takeaways here? How might you get them to rethink the way they market their product?
I think it's okay to tell your consumers when they aren't for you. I think that's the big takeaway here is I would rather someone say, hey, if you like this, I'm not for you. And I kind of go on my merry way. And I think companies would realize that actually helps them because the people that buy their products and like their products are people that are a fit for them and that are going to buy it again.
Well, Karen, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for sharing your research with me. And maybe at the break, you can tell me about that mattress brand you were shopping for.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, David.
Karen Ann Wallach is a marketing professor at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. Whew, that's a wrap on the show. That's a wrap on the night. That's a wrap on, well, I'm not wrapping any gifts today. If you loved the night's show and you want to listen to any of these interviews again, you can do so on the Last Show podcast. If you search David Cooper Last Show in your favorite podcast app, our show will pop up and there you can subscribe. If you missed me confronting a girl who said the U.S. side of Niagara Falls was better in front of the Canadian side's mayor, you can hear that on the podcast. I'm David Cooper. This was The Last Show. We'll be back tomorrow night.
Welcome to Survivor 50.
February 25th on Global.
We chose you to represent 25 years of the greatest adventure on television.
It's the biggest season ever.
The twist is going to open up Pandora's box.
Now I see Zach Brown on Survivor.
Welcome to Survivor, Mr. Beast.
Feels a little like a high school reunion meets a massacre.
Survivor 50th season, Wednesday, February 25th on Global. Stream on Stack TV.